Good evening, and as always, very welcome to the Business7 studio. I'm very excited about tonight's program. We're going to have a serious talk, or on a serious matter, but a lovely conversation around the performance of the banking sector in Namibia post-2020 and the outlook for 2021 and going forward. We know that the banks have been under tremendous pressure. So in that regard, Jaco Schoombie, an analyst from Cirrus Capital, will be joining us. Also in the program, something different in the Business7 studio, making a living from art. We're talking to Namibian artist Fillepus Sheehama. He's just finished an exhibition where the only way one can describe it is that the man reinvented the Makalani. So he's going to be talking about how to use the resources we have, not just in the city, but also in the rural communities, to make art, and also talk about the business side of it and how it can indeed be a bread and butter issue. Please stay tuned. It remains one of the main topics in Namibia, COVID-19 and its impact on the economy, not only just last year, but still this year and probably going forward. In today's Business7, our main story looks at how it affected the performance of the banking sector in Namibia. And joining us here is Jaco Schoombie. He is an analyst at Cirrus Capital. Jaco, thank you very much for taking the time and joining us. I'm sure you guys are very busy crunching numbers and getting straight to the point. How bad did COVID impact the bank's performance last year?
So the banks faced several challenges during the pandemic last year, and as you mentioned, this year as well. But something that we should remember is that we already had a weak economy pre-COVID as well. But then coupled with that, we had the lower administered rates, obviously also rising unemployment, and then a deteriorating economy in 2020 as well. All of this resulted in increased credit risk in the economy. And then from a figures perspective, we saw that the lower administered rates decreased net interest income for the banking sector, but the main detractor to overall earnings last year was the increased impairments. And then just from a bank-specific sort of figures as well, we saw that the overall earnings for the four main banks decreasing between 30 and 64% in 2020.
Those are absolutely staggering numbers. If I can just off the cuff quickly ask, did you guys expect the numbers to be that severe?
Some of our forecasts were quite accurate, but there was definitely some surprises in some instances. Also, the reporting period year ends of banks being the June and December. Obviously, June we only had 3 months sort of COVID, and then December a bigger part. Yeah, there were some changes and some surprises here and there, but yeah, it's sort of expected.
Just another question. Quickly, I know people get confused. In layman's terms, what are impairments? Because people get confused between impairments and overdue loans and non-performing loans. What is an impairment?
So yeah, the impairments is mainly if there's a difference between what the bank, the loan that the bank gave out and the expected amount that they wish to receive or that they expect to receive from it. The difference in that is the impairment charge or the provisioning charge, and that then decreases the overall earnings of the bank then.
So it's more like a a forward-looking expectation that is built into that charge. Okay, well, now people like myself understand that better too. And then, as you've mentioned, the impairments, etc., played a major role. It's all about loans, isn't it? But we also saw a huge spike in non-performing loans.
Yeah.
How serious is the non-performing loan situation at the moment?
I think it all comes down to the underlying economy in Namibia. Obviously, I'd mentioned that we had some struggles pre-COVID, and then obviously COVID exacerbated that all. But that's mainly due to the sort of difficult business environment and the unfriendly investment environment in Namibia. We're not creating creating employment. Sorry, we're not creating employment. And therefore, businesses and households, they can't afford their debt anymore, and they're not paying debt, so we see an increase in arrears, increases in non-performing loans, and ultimately this flows through to we're seeing banks provisioning and impairments increasing as well, because they're not expecting the expectation for the loan repayments is not what it should be.
Of course, non-performing loans, one of your key indicators that the central bank watches with a dog's eye, or an eagle's eye, I'm not sure. Well, it's watching it.
Yes.
They released the bond recently, released the financial stability report, and says the system is still financially stable and sound, but should we be worried? Because the financial sector is one of the pillars of the economy.
Yes, it is one of the pillars, but as they mentioned in that report as well, the banks remain well capitalized. They're well above their regulatory minimums. They also remain profitable in 2020, which is good, especially considered the unprecedented rate cuts and the increased impairments as well. So, as is, the banks are still stable.
It's a tough business to be in, yes indeed. Do you have any forecast of or idea of when banks will get back to their previous levels of performance? That being said, that also depends, of course, on the economy and the consumer. How long is it going to be before there are better days?
So our current forecast for interest rates is that it won't be back to pre-COVID levels within the next 5 years. So obviously, consumers and businesses with debt will be happy about that. From a profit perspective, we do expect the banks to be back to sort of pre-COVID levels next year. That's just our forecasts. That's obviously without an expectation of any further COVID-related regulation and lockdowns. That if there's any further lockdowns, we will need to change our forecasts, unfortunately.
Of course, especially with the new figures coming out, I see people are very worried about a third wave. But let's hope sanity prevails and that we don't have to go through that again. Jaco, thank you very, very much for your insights, as always.
Thanks, and
I don't know if one should say good luck. One needs good luck in this economy.
Good luck to the economy.
Good luck to the economy. Thank you very much. It doesn't always have to be just facts and figures and stats when it comes to business and economics. Art is also a way of making a living and helping a lot of people. So we are very privileged to be joined by Fillepus Sheehama. He is a Namibian artist. Welcome, Fillepus, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your invitation, and I'm happy to be here with you.
And may I add, you are without a doubt the most fabulously dressed guest I've ever had on this show.
Oh.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be looking at you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Before we get to the importance of art in making a livelihood, tell us just a little bit about yourself and about your career as an artist.
Okay, my name is Fillepus Sheehama, and I'm a Namibian artist. I started my career way back, perhaps I can say after 10 years ago. I joined university as a young boy coming from secondary schools. I didn't understand what art was. Through the journey, I have learned what art it is, and actually, I heard about art. It's about people who failed grade 12. Art is something for people who were mentally perhaps disturbed, for people who has dreads only. But I decided I was going to show what art it is. People can make living in art. Through study, I have learned that you can actually get a job as an artist. Perhaps you work for, because art is a very broad thing, and this is what people, they didn't understand. You can do whatever you are employed to do. At the same time, you do your own artwork, or you do whatever you do, so that it is, you balance and try to really make an extra income that will sustain you. Nevertheless, through that study, after my study, I joined Johnny Mufangeo Art Center, and then I have worked as a part-time lecturer. And then later I joined College of the Art, where I have been teaching young people from the background without art education. And also I tutor at University of Namibia. So finally I find myself home to be in art industry.
Yes.
As a developer and educator, also self-established artist.
Fillepus, you've just ended an exhibition in Windhoek, and it looked primarily at the Makalani, but also at recycling material, how to make art out of that. And what I find fascinating is that you said part of the inspiration for this exhibition was the fact that we can use our tradition and our culture and our the elements that we grew up with and innovate them into new products and new arts. How would you describe the situation around the Makalani to start off with?
Actually, what happened is that I didn't know what to do first, but when I was a student at university, we were taught how to create art from something that surrounded you, understanding how to turn what is around us, turn into something that can even make you to live on. And from the description of talent is that we were supposed to live from our own talent. If we could allow each and everybody to discover that talent, we will have the great opportunity to actually not struggle by giving each and everyone, allow that person to have a bread on the table, because they will use their talent to get the bread on their table. And then I thought I want to create a body of work from this found object. I have been working from found object since I was a student, but now I was picking them from surrounded area in Windhoek. Then I thought, why can I not go back where I came from to find my own origins, something that speak exactly or has my background. Then I thought, I went to the north for the holiday. That was December. And then I I saw my mom still doing that. Then I thought, let me see what am I going to do with this. I only first took a sack of macaroni that I came with, but still I didn't know what to do with it. Then I went back to artistic career, that we study the object, looking at the shapes and the structure and the forms and the color and also the meaning. Then I thought, okay, well, let me go back deeper a bit. Why people are using this? They are using it as a source of food. They are using it as a source of income because they brew this traditional bamboo leek. Yes. And then they also use it as a firewood. Then I thought, wow, this is amazing actually. And then I wanted something to back that theory. Then I thought, okay, let me read a little bit philosophers. Found one of the best philosopher for me, Pierre Bourdieu, who speak about the capital. It's a cultural capital and the income, social, not social, income capital. Then I thought, wow, I read about that philosopher, and then he says, the income capital is about how people bring the income on a table. And the other one is speak about the knowledge that, and the attitude and the behaves, and that become our virtues, the knowledge, the true knowledge, or cultural knowledge. Then I'm like, how can we develop that? By coming up with something new, you are introducing new knowledge. You are making people to be aware. You are not leaving anything behind, and then, but you are trying to integrate that, because they speak about social dominance, and when it comes to social dominance, they speak about economic and other stuff. And I thought, these women, they have made a great stuff, because they were trying to find something, and that helped them to pay school fees for their own children, so that these children get an opportunity to be educated, to be somebody in a society in the future. And that what made them actually that possibility, gave them that possibility, is this macaroni. And I should bring it that in front of people for everyone to know that macaroni has played a role in life of many young people, especially those who come from the north. Perhaps not this day when study loan and other scholarships were introduced, but those years, women really have made a tremendous contribution with that. Then I went in the studio to start cutting them, studying the shapes, and look at how I can put them together, what type of story I want to tell. And I started from there until one day I took them to the galleries, and the curator were excited, and they said, why can you not make a body of work that you can do a solo exhibition? There is where I started. I find myself in a studio spending the whole time, especially my weekend and holidays in a studio. And yeah, it went.
And you reinvented the Makalani.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you evolutionized the Makalani, and isn't it wonderful to think that something as a natural resource can empower women in rural areas? It's amazing.
Yes, actually, there was a time I was reading also this theory, and they talk about structures, how economic was structured in a society, organizations that were put in place to help the society to function. It's about structure, functionalism. And then I thought, okay, well, this is a wonderful thing. And the most important, I thought, is that This structure, most of the organizations have to do with development. How can we get a structure in place that can educate or develop women activities so that we give it a true knowledge to women how to make a living? Perhaps one day we said artists come together, those who have got skills to make different workshops, to teach women how to make necklaces. There is one artwork, I think a piece, that we mean for that. It's a big, it looks like a jewelry. And this jewelry, the history of it is that it used to be given to women who has a status in society. And to make it that more important is that the representation of that, how to develop the skills or give the skills to women, then learn how they can use whatever is surrounded them to allow that to contribute to economy. It's a great thing, so that people, we don't have to sit and wait for somebody to come and give us bread or job. In my understanding, actually, I thought practical work, things that we do with our own hands, bring the bread on a table. Instead of waiting, told what to do, waiting for somebody to show you how to do it, and you waiting to be paid. Actually, the money is there. Money is there. It's a way of knowing how to get this money. Make people to feel like, because I feel like when people, they are buying the artwork, they are not actually paying me, they are trying to recognize the effort and the skills that I'm trying to introduce as a reward, not perhaps a payment.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Because not only has it been fascinating listening to you, you are a true inspiration. Thank you very, very much for your time, and we're looking forward to your next exhibition.
Okay, thank you too. Thank you for your invitation, and I'm happy to be with you here. So looking forward to be with you again for your invitation so that we unpack some new knowledge.
We will certainly do that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you for joining us. We will be seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. Until then, stay safe.